what seems to me to be Nicola's greatest strength is organisation. She's organised herself, and she helps you get you organised.
She's very calm. She has your best interests at heart. She's very pleasant to deal with, and she's extremely efficient.
She knows her stuff, and she inspires confidence because it's a very measured style. She knows what she's talking about, and she's a pleasure to deal with. When you're receiving advice from somebody that you need to have trust and confidence in, once you've established that kind of confidence, you want to stick with them, and that's certainly what's happened with us and Nicola. Nicola is somebody who knows her stuff. She's very competent. She's always very well prepared. It's not my field, but I can understand it enough to realise when somebody's got technical skills and is deploying those and using expertise. I can recognise that when I see it. I've recognised that in Nicola, and we've also found that she's somebody we can really have confidence in.
And she's also very professional, but personally very pleasant to deal with.
I was at the point where I'm coming up to my 65th birthday and I wanted to start drawdown from my SIP, and I just didn't. I mean, this is not something that you can do on your own. You need to have an IFA to advise you and to guide you and to give you the best possible advice as to the best way to do this. And that was the reason that I came here, absolutely primarily, was to get my SIP into drawdown, and that is exactly what we're working towards at the moment. At the end of the day, it's knowledge. It's up-to-date knowledge. It's an understanding of the legislation, in particular when you talk about pensions, that's what you're paying for, because it is such a complex minefield. You know, the overall feeling is that I'm being given very good, objective advice that is the correct advice for myself and for my wife. You know, if anything should happen to me on my way home tonight. Well, the last financial advisors that I was with were part of a large accountancy firm, and I mean they were very slick, and there were lots of them. But again, you know, this feeling that you were there for them rather than they being there for you, and that when you come to this organisation, you come and meet Nicola, you don't get that feeling. This is an organisation that's there to look after you and your interests. So I would recommend anyone else who is interested in looking for an IFA, and not necessarily in this area, because everything can be done electronically nowadays, should invest in a visit to Dorking and see what can be done for them.
Nicola seems to have the knack of teaching people like me how to understand it almost by simple drawings and things like that, and that's what I found very interesting, that she could make us understand, and she made it sound so simple in that respect. I think because I trust Nicola, I know that in the back of my mind I can almost let her get on with it, as it were, and that's great. That's exactly what we're after. I can see us continuing with Nicola for at least another 10 years, if not a good bit longer.
But she just makes life easier.
She still takes an interest in us as much as we think she should do, and I'm sure she takes the same amount of interest in someone with far more assets than we've got.
Which is important.
Someone you can trust. In a nutshell.
She's accessible, and she's also modern, I think.
Keeps up with things.
Yes, yeah.
And as I said, got introduced to Trentham Invest, and found in Nicola, and frankly, I found a Rottweiler acting for me. Yeah, I mean, she tore into the city and tried to understand and tore their pension advisors, administrators, you know, to give them numbers or give her numbers and facts, and she was a lot tougher with them than I would have been. Yeah, and she got results. Results in the fact that the pension administrators would only let a director talk to her. In the end, that just worked for me. you get somebody who knows what they're talking about. It's not going to be about the bush. We'll give it to you straight. She has good knowledge, sound knowledge of the whole industry and the whole landscape with regards to pension. And the complications are something that you can't handle for yourself personally. It isn't that obvious. There are nasty little dark corners that you need to think about and worry about. And Nicola covers all of that. There's no sweet talking, there's no cups of tea and cakes every meeting, then keep you sweet and saying yes to everything you're likely to want to hear. You're giving it straight. You know your hard choices, and that's what you need at this point in life. Yeah? You're not just a file in the bloody filing cabinet in the corner, waiting for you to scream if something isn't right. You know, somebody is thinking and looking after your interests. That helps you sleep at night. You are told all the things you are going to happen, will have to happen. You know? And that's reassuring. You know where you stand exactly.
It was very stressful, and Nicola really, really helped to make me feel calm and hopeful, and to feel that there would be a future. She's incredibly sympathetic, helpful. She's extremely clear on what can occur or not occur, and despite me being terribly nervous about anything to do with finance and figures, she is extremely good at allaying any fears and giving you some sense of hope for the future. She makes me feel extremely confident that I'm safe in this moment and safe in the future in terms of financial investments and my pensions particularly, really.
Well, it's more relief than anything else, because if we come to somebody who can sort out and we found out that things were not as bad as we thought they were. We just needed a proper professional to help us. The feedback we got from an existing client at Trentham was everything we'd hoped it would be. Mainly it was the trust that the existing client had in Nicola, which was what we were hoping to be able to gain, and after today we feel we found it. I mean, I was so very, very impressed by the amount of groundwork that had been done already. So we weren't, every minute we had during the meeting was not bogged down with, well, what about this, what about that. She had all the answers to the basics, and we could take it to a sort of higher plane quicker, which was as both a saving of time, and again it was for us it was I'd use the word almost soothing, you know.
The first thing that impressed me was the fact that she had a grounding in the city, and so was well versed in that world, and for her to be brave enough to forsake that world and set up on her own in a market town, I thought was a rather courageous move. I was impressed. Well, I'm a modest investor. I'm cautious. I haven't got huge wealth, but what I do have, I need to be sure is safe. And Nicola has always demonstrated enormous confidence and competence in what she advises, and the way in which she has organised herself and her staff, and the processes that she has instituted makes for a very easy to understand process in discussing, what to do with one's affairs, and I've always been very impressed with the way she's been able to deliver simple, clear advice. She is, maybe one of the few people who has her feet on the ground and able to see the wood for the trees, and give sound advice regardless of the doom and gloom that appears to be surrounding us all.